Good afternoon, guys. It's working. Bring you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. As always, want to start with a big thank you to everyone who has left tips. I got your Travis 1912 and Billy Bob. I can't even say the rest of that. I'm not even sure how to say the rest of that, but you know who you are, and thank you very much. Got both of your messages, one on Twitter, one on Facebook, and by all means, guys, if you ever want to send something that's not not public, if you have a question or something like that, of course, I won't share that question if you don't want me to publicly. Send me those direct messages, those private messages on Facebook or Twitter, and of course, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you just want to let me know that you did send a tip, but you don't want to put that on a public comment, by all means do that as well. I'd love to thank you personally. So anyway, looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar, 4-hour chart on Coinbase. Last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was operating right below about this $10,600 area, if memory serves. I think we may have just peaked above it. I told you I was watching this ascending support line here. This trend line, guys, I thought was very, very relevant. Told you that it kind of looked like we were getting squeezed tighter and tighter within a range. And if we broke up above this zone, guys, that we'd very likely come up and test this $11,500 zone. Of course, that is what happened. Bitcoin is testing that 11.5 clearly, guys, finding resistance there. And of course, I'd be remiss if you guys have been watching my channel, you know this very, very well. But I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the fact that we are hitting right inside of that gap on CMEs, going all the way up to about 12,080 on CMEs. On spot charts, that's going to be right around 12,000. So let's see if we can fill this gap, guys. Of course, we knew that we'd find resistance here, guys. Remember, this gap denoted a lot of sell orders, and of course, we're seeing that now with the fact that we are getting so much resistance right there. That being said, guys, I do have to say that yeah, this is starting to look rather productive. This chart is. I mean, it's still very difficult. As we discussed yesterday, guys, I'm expecting a little bit more of a rejection if we get a little bit higher here, and especially if we try to close a little bit deeper into that gap. I don't think it's going to push right above. I could be completely wrong on that. If we come over here and check our daily volume sitting at about 28.6, a little bit of a downtick from yesterday, but still rather healthy volume. But I am expecting a little bit more of a rejection if we push up a little bit higher here. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. That being said, guys, the fact that we only rejected, what did we came up and tested about 11,570, rejected back down to about 10,950. So, you know, a $650 rejection ish. That's I was expecting a little bit more than that. So let's wait and see kind of how this plays out for now. Of course, trying to play detective here, guys. As I said, the deeper we go into that, closing those CME gaps, we should trigger a little more sell orders, a little bit higher, so that would make sense. We can also see visually we do have some resistance here, and again, I'm kind of talking through my thought process, so you guys kind of know what I'm looking at and why I'm looking at that way, and hopefully it helps you guys learn to trade, and eventually you're not even going to need me. You'll just, yeah, not that you need me. That sounded a little bit arrogant. I don't mean that at all, guys. I certainly don't mean that. I don't ever want to come across arrogant. Not at all. My point is, I'd like to make you self-sufficient. I'd like to make it so so those of you that are learning to trade, you can do this on your own. You can slowly learn how to do this on your own. And I know many of you already do know how to do this on your own. So please don't take that as an insult. I certainly don't mean it that way. But you can also see if we go swing high, swing low, again, kind of playing detective here, trying to figure out if we can find confluence between various indicators, pulling our fib here. We can see that if we did press a little bit higher into this zone, we've got the 50 sitting right around 11,740 on Coinbase here. So again, we can certainly see pushing up, hitting a rejection there, and then of course right above this is the key area in my opinion. This is when if we can get above that $12,000 zone on CMEs, of course we can get above this prior area of resistance, which sits right there at about 12,370, which lines up perfectly with our 618, our golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level. If we can get above this decisively, not by a wick, but a decisive break above this zone, a 4-hour open and close above about 12,370, I get very, very bullish very, very quick. So let's wait and see how that plays out. But until we do clear this zone decisively, guys, I have to say, we've got the 50 sitting here. here, we've got the 618, the golden pocket, the golden ratio, and of course the golden pocket sitting right up top here. A very, very clear visual resistance here. And of course, going back to the CME charts, guys, we can see very clearly that we have not yet closed the gap here, which again, this chart does signal a lot of sell orders that would still likely be sitting in here, which, you know, AKA a lot of resistance. So I don't want to become too bullish too quickly. I would say proceed with caution here, but I will say that so far the fact that we haven't been rejected too strongly here is a bullish sign of strength. It truly is. All right, let's go ahead and check our moving averages, exponential moving averages, starting here with the 4 hour. I do like the fact that we pardon me. Yesterday we discussed coming up here the 50 simple moving average on the 4 hour chart, which was lining up perfectly with that $11,500 resistance. Of course, we're hitting that perfectly now. We can see that the 821 and 55 day, or excuse me, 821 and 55 period EMA on the 4 hour are all converging here right at about right around 11,000-ish. And of course, we're now finding support right on top of where all those moving averages are converging. Again, that's a bullish sign. And if we zoom in here, we can see the 8 trying to break up above the 55. Actually has broken up above the 55. And the 21 not far behind it, trying to break up above the 55. If we can get the 8 on top of the 21, on top of the 55, and then we get some light between the two, clearly, guys, that's going to be a rather bullish sign. As of right now, certainly acting as a decent area of support. Now, if we do break down below this support, again, guys, that if we break down decisively, again, I always want to emphasize we're not talking about by a wick, but a decisive break below this zone. So I would say a decisive break below about 10,000. Let's call it about 10,730 to be very, very precise. I would even call it 10,700, guys. Let's just be a little more cautious. Let's be, you know, a little more conservative. We break below 10,700 decisively, a 4 hour open and close. At that point, I do short term do get a little more bearish, and at that point, I do think we're coming down and testing at least that 9,000, this prior low at about 9,700. If not, let me get rid of this. If not, our visual area of support that we've been talking about at about 9,400. Now pulling all the way out on the weekly here, guys. Weekly looking a lot more constructive. We are trading above the close of last week's candle, guys. Last week's just bearish, nasty looking candle. So again, very, very constructive. I will say that, guys. Now we're still very early in the week, so you know, don't get me wrong. Don't get this isn't you know, this is just kind of nice to know as of right now. A lot can happen between now and the close on Sunday. But of course, if we go from our swing low of 3,150 to our swing high of 13,850, of course, what do we see? We see we came down. Found support right on top of the 382, and we're coming up now and finding resistance right back at the 236 again, guys. So, you know, are we going to trade within this range for a little while? Possibly. I think if we do reject back down pretty hardly, and certainly if we do come back down below that area of area that that 10,700 and what do we say, $10,730 area ish, called it 10,700. I think we agreed on. I do think if we do break down below that, guys, I think there's a very good chance that we do break this 382. And of course, the next major fib level would be all the way down there at that $8,500 zone that it seems like, you know, everybody is talking about. Now, does it have to come down here? Yes, we know. Again, if you've watched my channel, you guys know this, and you know, you've been hearing this, probably you're sick of hearing it. But of course, yes, we know we've got these gaps sitting down here at 8,500. We know we've got another gap sitting down there at 7,200. Do these gaps have to 100% be filled? Nothing is 100%. Does probability say they will be filled? Yes, probability says they will be filled. Does that mean they have to be filled right now? No, no, no. And I don't know why there seems to be so much confusion with you know, with these gaps. I'm gonna get rid of this. This is no longer needed with these gaps here, guys. But yes, probability says these gaps will get filled. Doesn't mean they have to be filled, and it doesn't mean they have to be filled right now. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten some of the comments, guys, and again, always respectful, and I understand people are, you know, people are just trying to learn, but understand nothing has to happen in crypto, and just because probability says something is going to happen, it doesn't have to happen with in any particular time frame. Now, until we do break up above this gap, until we decisively fill this gap and start trading above this gap, again, the top of which is at about $12,080 on the CME chart, until that does happen, yes, there's a good chance that we do end up rejecting here, and we possibly can come down here and fill this 8,500. But again, that's no longer even my bias at the moment. I would say I'm a little more agnostic. As I said yesterday, guys, I don't know what the hell that's happening for. I'm a little more agnostic until we do take out this $12,080 range, guys. I don't know how else to say it. So no, nothing has to happen. Yes, we very likely will fill this $8,500 gap. We very likely will fill the $7,200 gap, but it certainly doesn't have to happen now. All right, one of the things, zooming back into the 4-hour chart, guys, one of the things that is a little bit concerning, and again does denote areas of hitting areas of absolute resistance without question, but possibly coming back down a little bit lower on the lower time frames here. We can see that we are clearly showing a little bit of hidden bullish divergence. Obviously, price created a lower high if we're just going point to point, and if we come over here and look at the exact same point on the RSI, price created a slightly higher high. In this case, that is, looking at a downtrend, obviously from our swing high, we're in a very small downtrend here, very small correction, but that would denote an area of hidden bearish divergence, which would suggest possibly breaking back down here and testing this zone at about 10,800, and of course we'd have to wait and see how price reacted at that zone. Now again, we're only seeing this on the 4-hour, and it is very, very slight, so I'm not putting a lot of weight in that, but it certainly does explain the resistance, as well as of course the CME gap and the visual resistance that we're seeing very, very clearly. All right, checking higher time frames, guys. Looking at the daily here, daily looks very constructive. Very, very nice reversal candle here. Nice little hammer here, possible tweezer, but either way you want to look at it, guys, very, very nice. Of course, finding support right on top of our 21-day EMA. You guys know 21-day EMA, in my opinion, guys, is one of the most important exponential, in my opinion, guys. It's just, as far as is looking at short-term momentum to the bullish or bearish side, guys, there's not much that's better than that. Again, if we were to have decisively broken below the 21-day EMA, sorry guys, it's I'm tongue twister for some reason, but yeah, if we had taken out the 21-day EMA decisively, by decisively I mean a 1-day candle opening and closing below that zone, that would typically signal a complete shift in momentum in favor of the bears. Now, the fact that we have stayed above this, guys, tells me this is a nice healthy correction. Wicking below it couldn't be more textbook than this, guys, and then a continuation back to the upside. Now, we have not taken out prior areas of what was support, which should act as resistance. So until we have confirmed the fact that we have bottomed out here and we are continuing back up, that is not going to be confirmed until we do take out this high, which sits again at about 12,370, let's call it, somewhere thereabouts, guys. We take that out decisively, then yes, I'll believe that we have bottomed out and the probability will shift in favor of continuation to the upside. But until that does happen, yes, this does look very constructive. This does look like a potential bottom here and a continuation back to the upside, but that is not yet confirmed. All right, let's go ahead and come out looking at the weekly. Weekly does, again, look very, very constructive. As I said, we're starting to push into the upper weekly Bollinger Band there. Very, very healthy. We never did break down below that 8-week EMA, guys, which is a very good sign that the bulls never did give up the range. In other words, the bulls were still in the fight here, and I told you that. I told you yesterday, the fact that we haven't even tested the 8-week EMA there was a very, very bullish sign. So yes, we're seeing some follow through here. Now, please don't fall into the trap of feeling like you've got a FOMO into this thing. Certainly we could get rejected. We are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. As I said, I'm a little more agnostic, which I know isn't helpful, but I know is very frustrating to hear from an analyst, guys. I get it. I truly do get it. You want me to say it's going up to the moon and buy, or it's heading down and dumping sell? I know that's what you want to hear. That's not technical analysis, and if you do hear anybody telling you those things, you probably, again, I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. You can think I'm a moron. You can think whatever you want to, but if you hear nothing else, please, please, please do not listen to perma bulls or perma bears, because I promise you, you're going to get wrecked. Are they going to be right sometimes? Yes, a broken clock is right twice a day. But I mean, people, I've been hearing people calling for a complete breakdown ever since this thing was sitting down at $3,700. Breaking down, and of course they missed this entire move. So, just look at your indicators, guys. Be very flexible, be very honest with yourself, and you can have your biases, but as soon as something technical goes against that bias, be very willing to say I was wrong. That's probably one of the most difficult things for a trader to do, is to say I was wrong. Do not get emotionally attached to anything. And now it looks like we're heading up again. I told you, in my opinion, I do believe the bottom is in. I do believe this is a bull run. I do believe we're looking at a small correction from that bull run, but not or a correction. Whether or not it's going to be small, we still have yet to see. We've already corrected 30%. So is that a small correction? I mean, in Bitcoin, I guess you could say maybe small. I wouldn't even call that a small correction for Bitcoin. For any other market, that would be a huge correction. So let's just my point is, don't get emotionally attached to any one thing, and certainly don't listen to any one analyst, including myself. All that said, though, I will say, guys, it does, just looking at the daily chart here, it does say, and we're getting some conflicting information between the 4-hour and the daily, but I will say the daily chart does look like it wants to come up and test about 11,840, somewhere thereabouts, and we have to reevaluate. But yeah, in the short term, it does look like it wants to pop up there. And of course, as I said, we'll have to wait and see kind of how that ends up playing out there in the short term. Let's go ahead and check the monthly. And looking at the monthly, just very, very beautiful looking chart, guys. This is just, again, looks very, very healthy as of right now. Yeah, I mean, we can come back down, and we can come back down and test 8,500 all day long, and this will still be an extremely, extremely healthy healthy setup. Looking at the monthly, the 8-period EMA on the monthly, nicely above the 21-period EMA on the monthly and the 55. So again, very, very bullish on the monthly. All right, zooming back in on the 4-hour, guys, kind of playing detective here. If we go swing high, swing low again, just trying to figure out, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we break this area, guys, next target 50 is going to be sitting right there at that $11,800 area. And of course, we said the golden pocket right there at our prior local swing high, right there at the top of which is at about as I said, 12,380-ish, somewhere thereabouts, guys. But yeah, if we do clear this zone, in fact, I'm curious. I want to see something. If we go from even a more micro level there, and we're digging very, very deep, guys. Not very, very deep, not very deep. But I mean, this is just more for fun. Yeah, if we go from our local, my micro level swing high, which is at about what is that, 12,450, down to our swing low of 9,670-ish, somewhere thereabouts. We can see we're rejecting again right inside that golden pocket. Sits perfectly right around 11,500. So yeah, if this does pop up, looks like probably a quick rise up to at least 11,850. Yeah, at least 11,850. We'll have to reevaluate at that point. But remember, the not micro or not macro level, but a little more macro. If we look at this overall structure from our swing high of 13,800, then of course the next major target is going to be sitting right inside here between about 12,200 to about 12,350, really 12,370-ish, somewhere thereabouts. Really, that's the zone that has to get cleared. If that does get cleared, guys, I get very, very bullish very, very quickly. Of course, that'll take out that the gap on CMEs, guys. But again, I'd like to see a decisive break, not a break above, a decisive break, a 4-hour open and close above that zone before I start to get very bullish. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote. If you have enjoyed this content, till next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves. Oh, by the way, I'm going to have your comments. I'm going to answer some of your questions, some of your comments in a completely separate video. So that'll be out right after this. So just keep an eye out for that, guys. All right, I'm going to wrap things there. Take care. Working, signing out.